All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last step. This is step 6. If you don't count all the rest of the A, B, C, D as part of that, but step 6. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to automate the volumes. We're going to kind of ride the faders, but we're going to do it by drawing it on, or maybe moving the faders up and down. But I'm not going to be mixing the whole thing in front of you on the video. I'm just going to start automating some stuff, and then you'll have to do the rest on your own. One thing I would recommend is once you get your mix done, bounce it down, like exit out of the program, bounce it down. So that would be under Song Export Mix Down, and export your mix so you can hear what it sounds like on different speakers. Because if you're mixing it on headphones in the classroom, if you're mixing it out of nice monitor speakers like we have in the control room, or if you've got it, just depending on what you're listening to, it might sound different when you listen to it in your car stereo or in your earbuds or whatever. And so listen to it on a couple different sets of speakers or headphones so that you can identify those spots that you really need to bring out in your mix or change, or maybe it's too bassy or too treble or whatever else, and you don't necessarily know that if you're just listening to it through your headphones that you mixed on or your monitor speakers that you mixed on. So after you're done with this step that we're doing, listen to it on some different speakers, take some notes, have somebody else listen to it, see what they have to say, and say what aren't you hearing, what needs to be brought out more, what's way too loud and needs to be pushed back. So here we go. I'm going to start out at the beginning of the song. There's a couple things we can do in here. So as I get in here, I don't have a whole lot of screen real estate, so I can't really see everything. One thing I can close is this inspector. I don't need that anymore. Another thing I can do is I don't need to see the channel strips and that sort of thing. So the plugins and inserts and sends and stuff. So if I click this, it makes that smaller. I also don't necessarily need them to be this wide. So I can click this and make them narrow. All right, so let's go in here to the vocals. And when we get into the vocals in this section, they're a little bit soft. So listen to this.
Laughing Phillips, do you mean when you say I could eat you, I wouldn't?
So they don't need to be a whole lot louder than that, but I will say it gets over here into this little second half of the verse.
Laughing Phillips, why would you choose me in the university?
That's probably okay. So this here needs to come up maybe 2 decibels, 4 decibels, or something like that. So to automate that so that the faders move on their own, you're going to need to see your automation. This right here turns on automation because right now it's showing groupings and stuff like that, input, mute, and that's right. So if we click on this, now it's going to show us what we're able to automate. So right now I want to automate volume. So I click on this and I can click on volume. And now this little line controls my fader. So I want this to be about 2 decibels louder. So I'm going to put in 2 points there. And I kind of liked where that was. So I'm going to put in 2 points right there. And then I can take this and drag it up. Ooh, it made a curve that I did not want. If I click on that one and hit delete, it gets rid of it. Okay, let me try that again. Oh, that's what I want to do. So I take it up. Whoa, not 4 decibels. Let's make our tracks bigger so I can have more control here. There we go, about 2 decibels. And then I can take this one and move it up. There we go. So if you watch when I hit play, watch the fader here.
Laughing Phillips, do you mean when you say I could eat?
Now, if I wanted to make that fade up happen when he starts singing, I can take this and drag it. Oh, well. I can take this and drag it over here. And I can even make it more gradual so it happens over time.
Laughing Phillips, do you mean when you say?
I think it needs to be before that, though. Now, here's another thing. If I wanted to make it so it comes in faster, the fade happens faster, I can drag the curve out. If I want to make it happen so it happens slower, I can drag the curve this way once I get it built. So I'm going to bring that over here, though. I want it to happen so that the first words are louder.
Laughing Phillips, do you mean when you say I could eat you, I would meet you in the park after dark? Laughing Phillips, why would?
So if you noticed, when it got here, watching the fader,
Laughing Phillips,
it brought us back down. It doesn't sound that much different. 2 decibels is a very minor amount. I would say somewhere between 2 and 4 decibels is where the ear starts noticing differences. And you don't have to make crazy, exaggerated changes for people to hear a difference. As a matter of fact, it kind of brings people out of the moment of the recording if you do so. So I wouldn't go crazy and make it really aggressively louder or softer really quickly. Now, the next thing that I would say that I need to do is when this track starts, and like I said, I'm skipping some of the process. There's other things that I've heard. I think the piano was too soft right there, but I'll take care of that later when I'm off camera. So right now, I'm going to make the guitar a little bit louder at the beginning, but I don't want it any louder when the vocals come in because
Laughing Phillips, do you mean?
I think the acoustic is plenty loud, if not maybe a little too loud when the vocals come in. But when it's at the very beginning and it's the only thing, you could use a little bit more. Now, there's a thing in mixing called grouping, and what it does is it makes it so both the faders work together. And since I've got this so that both of them are kind of at the same place, I might want to automate these so they automate and move together. So to do that, I need to create a grouping. So making a grouping would be by selecting both those channels. So I click on that one and I hold down Shift and click on that one so that I get both of them, or you could also just drag over both of them like that. Oh, no, you can't. Not on PreSonus. All right, the Logic you can. So I click on that, and that makes it so they're both selected. Now, to group them, you're going to come up here to Track, and then come down to Group Selected Tracks, and now those two are grouped. So now when I move that fader, it's going to move both of them. So we're at 7.6. If I do this, oh, now we're at 5.8. There we go. Now, I found in Studio One Free, it doesn't show me, I don't know that there's a way to automate a group and make them both move at the same time. If I put in my automation right now just the way it is, it'll automate one and not the other, and that's kind of goes against why I want to group them in the first place. So one thing I'm going to teach you right now is how to grab the faders and move them. And so if you feel more tactile or whatever else, what you should do is grab these and move them up and down by dragging them up and down. But right now, if I just did that, it would just make it louder or softer. It wouldn't actually put an adjustment in there. So first, I'm going to, once again, take a look at my volume. And then I'm going to come down here and see where it says auto. This is for automation. Like right now, my vocal thing is reading the automation that I put in there. Right here for these two tracks, I'm going to tell it to latch automation. And what latch means is that as I move the faders, it stays at that point where I let go, it stays there and that sort of thing. So if I go back to the beginning, let's do that for that guy too. As I go back to the beginning, I'm going to take us all the way back to the start of the track. And I'm going to grab these when I hit play and move them. A little bit more now. Let's give it some direction. And now as the vocals come in, I'm going to be ready.
Laughing Phillips, do you mean when you say I could?
So there we go. Now it built an automation curve for both my guitar tracks. If you watch, I maybe want this to be a little bit louder right here. So now I can grab my automation point, make it a little taller.
Laughing Phillips.
Now, I kind of want this fade to happen earlier than what I did. So what I can do is drag this over and grab this in the middle somewhere here and make it happen a little bit faster. What's that sound like?
Laughing Phillips, do you?
Maybe more.
Laughing Phillips, do you mean?
Yeah, I like that. So I just deleted out some of those points. Maybe make this a little taller so it doesn't have a little louder. There we go. Cool. And I'm going to make it start out at that volume that I made it go up to. All right. So here's that automation I just put in. Now, there's one other thing I want to show you on automation before I let you go get busy mixing, and I want to show you automation of the drum bus. So what we'll do, latch. All right, so the reason why I might want to do that is when I come in here and the drums come in, I might want that little fill that he has at the beginning to be a little bit louder. So if I go back a little bit further and then I hit play, I can grab this.
Laughing Phillips, do you mean?
So there we go. Now when we're listening to the drums,
Laughing Phillips, do you mean when you say I could?
now one thing to keep in mind, right now these are set so you start touching the faders and it's going to build EQ or automation changes. So if you want it just so that it reads those changes and actually does them, because if you don't have it on read, it won't do anything. You can put that back on read, put this back on read, and then that way you don't accidentally write any parameters by accidentally hitting something. So that's how you automate a mix. Once you get your mix automated, you should pretty much have your final version of that mix, or at least your rough draft of that mix, if you want to think of it that way, and that you can take out, listen. I would bounce it out once again, track song, export mix down, and then turn that into a WAV or an MP3 file or something. Put it on your device or whatever else, however you do that, and then listen to it in a variety of different places. Listen to it on headphones, and listen to it on your car stereo, and listen to it while you're doing dishes. And while you're doing that, make some notes and think about what needs to be fixed, and then do some more automation. So that right there is the basics of mixing using Studio One Prime to do what we need to do to get a decent mix. I hope that helps. Thanks.